Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of St. Margaret Mary. Where are they now? We hope you have been enjoying our series, and we continue today with another special guest joining us. And as always, our moderator will introduce us to our guest, and that is Mike Molina. Mike?
Hi, folks. Great to be back. Today we have a very missed member of the St. Margaret Mary School community. She was part of our staff for 15 years from 1984 to 1999, and hundreds of children and former students remember her fondly, and that is none other than our PE and activities director, Jodi Harkenrider Schwan. Welcome, Jodi.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me. I feel so honored.
Well, it's the honor is ours to have you back. This has been a fun project that we've been doing to reconnect with people that have, for one reason or another, tumbled into St. Margaret Mary and spent some time either as former parishioners or former staff members. And we couldn't have done this without including you, Jodi, because you were so much part of the St. Margaret Mary School story.
And I love St. Margaret Mary. It's such a fond and wonderful part of my life. And so I'm so happy to be here.
Great. So we're going to talk a little bit about those years and then talk a little bit about what you're doing now so that a lot of your former students and their families can catch up with what your life is like today compared to those days of doing jumping jacks on the blacktop.
Yes. And my cute little office that I had with a bathroom, which was so exciting.
It's still there.
I know. It was the best thing ever when that came around.
All right. What are your earliest memories of St. Margaret Mary, Jodi, when you showed up in 1984? Your interview. Why St. Margaret Mary? How did you get it? How did you get that?
So this is it's a great story. And so I had just graduated from Bishop Montgomery. Go Knights.
Go Knights. Go Knights.
Yeah. And I was going to El Camino, and I was working at Giuliano's Delicatessen as the front girl, the greeter girl. And so one of my friends that I played volleyball with at Bishop, she was coaching at Our Lady of Guadalupe at the time. And St. Margaret Mary did not, as of late August, didn't have a girls volleyball coach. And so she called me up and she was like, hey, St. Margaret Mary needs a volleyball coach. You should go up and see what's up with that. And so I did. That's what I did. I went into Sister, who was the principal then? Sister Rachel, did we say?
Sister Rachel.
And that was so fun because, I hadn't seen nuns in a really long time. So that was cool. But anyway, so she gave me the job, and literally that was history right there, because then I coached all the girls' sports. And the funny thing was, whoever was teaching PE at the time was never showing up for work. So I would get phone calls, and she would ask me, our PE teacher called in sick today. Would you at all be interested in doing that? And then I started filling in for PE. And then the next year they asked me if I would be the PE teacher. So that was awesome. It really worked out for me. I always tell people I kind of that I just used what I was good at, and kind of fell into being a PE teacher, and I just have loved it all these years. I still to this day love being a PE teacher.
That's fantastic. And I know for the 15 years you were at St. Margaret Mary, the job description would change or tweak a little bit. I remember you taught health for a while, and you were in the classrooms. You were like a long-term sub. You did a lot of subbing, and it was a great experience, I think, for you, right?
It was for me. I don't know if it was for the kids, but it definitely. I'm not sure, but I got to do well, and that's what I love about my time at St. Margaret Mary. And then pretty quickly, Doug Earhart was the principal, and he just showed a lot of confidence in me in different areas, which was really really cool and allowed me to kind of, just do some different things there.
What are some of your fondest memories then, looking back from 1984 to 1999? Experiences, events, or just the regular course of a school year. When you think back at your time at St. Margaret Mary School, what pops up?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. I mean, I will have to say, my time with the students, I just always love. I had such, well, when you think about it, I was only 4 years older than those kids in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
So, and funny memories are back in the day, I drove my girls volleyball team in my bug to volleyball games, which you would never see today. I mean, you cannot even touch that. So like we used to just have such fun times going to and from volleyball games, and and then secondly, the friends that I made there as teachers and colleagues. And you, of course, Mike Molina, are one of my dearest, closest friends. And with Don Still, and we just had like such a group. Lori Marie Beasley. I mean, we just had such a fun group of teachers. And like those are just some of what I cherish. I mean, I still talk to Don, and so I just really made a lot of great friends there. I'd say some of the fun things were like memory night. I'll never forget. I don't know, getting in a little bit of trouble because there was parents who took me in the limo with 8th grade boys to memory night because couldn't help it if they liked me. So I was like, sure, I'll hitch a ride in there, and just fun memories with great families.
But you know what, Jodi, there is something about the role that you had, right? And it's not just St. Margaret Mary, but in the course of a student's experience at a school, his or her relationship with the teacher or with the principal is one thing, but then there is the staff that they associate with, and a lot of times it is the PE coach or the athletics coach. Talk a little bit about the kids and what they meant to you and the kind of relationship that you built with them.
Yeah, well, I think, I'm really passionate about integrity and my faith, and really sort of passing that along to young kids. And so I think when I teach or when I coach, I'm always wanting them. I just enjoy seeing them improve or seeing them take some advice that I give them, and kind of expand on what they're working on or set goals and reaching goals. And I think at St. Margaret Mary, those kids were such hard workers. Like that, when I look back at them and I think about the kids there, they just were awesome kids. They had good outlooks. They weren't wimpy. They weren't, like they would fall on that blacktop, skin their knees bleeding, and just get up and keep playing. And I don't know, they just had such great hearts. And I mean, like one day, speaking of, I believe you had Father Ricky on, and teaching PE one day, I was hustling up from the office, and my class was waiting for me, and I actually was pregnant with my second at the time, and I'd come up, and a whole group of boys turns around, and they have a basketball inside their PE shirt. So, I mean, I just died laughing, and we took a picture, and it was just like, who does that? Like, who does that with their teacher? They all, it was just so funny. And it just like made my heart burst, because that really says something about the relationship I had, with the kids there. And so
you always had a special bond with them, which I'm sure continued as you progressed in your career. As you said, we were with you. We celebrated your wedding. We celebrated the birth of 2 sons, your 2 beautiful kids that you have. And in 1999, you and your husband and the family chose it was time to kind of relocate and start family life, and you found yourself moving to Manhattan Beach and beginning working at American Margaret School. Where you
Right.
still at?
I am. I'm still there. So that was a really, that was really hard because St. Margaret Mary was my family. And like you say, I actually was married there. My first son was baptized there. And, because of my connections at St. Margaret Mary, and really I met my husband because I taught his nephews there and niece. And so it was just such a huge part of my life. And it was a really hard decision. I always had lived down here in the South Bay in Manhattan and drove to Lomita for 15 years. So my oldest was got into kindergarten at American Martyrs, and I sort of got the job much in the same way. And I was hemming and hawing, and Doug Earhart was so supportive, and he said, I know Wendy McLaughlin, and I think, you're going to love her. And so it was kind of like a nice, he supported me with whatever I decided, but he kind of it was like, it kind of helped me out the door a little bit because I was sad to leave St. Margaret Mary. But I was turning in Jay's registration papers for kindergarten, and I kind of popped my head into Wendy McLaughlin and said, I just want to introduce myself. My son's coming to kindergarten, and I am the PE teacher at St. Margaret Mary, but if the job ever opened up, I'd really be interested in talking with you about it. And she was like, great. And so a month later, I got a phone call from her. And she said, you are never going to believe this. She said, my PE teacher actually has to leave early this year for a family emergency and relocating. So if you'd like to come in and talk about the job, I would love it. And so I did, and I got the job. So that's how I kind of ended up at American Martyrs. And of course, all the kids were calling me traitor, and it was really hard. And it was so hard to tell them. And my niece was, in fact, she was in 5th grade at the time, and she was so mad at me for leaving and so sad. And so I was too, though, of course. But so yeah, it's just kind of weird how I sort of just landed upon these jobs. I always like to say God happened.
I agree, completely agree. Let's continue the journey then, Jodi. I think your former students and their families would be very interested to hear where that journey has led you in the last few years, right?
Yeah.
School and what you're doing now. So why don't you share with us a little bit of the last 5 or 6 years?
Yeah. So when I was going to El Camino, I was majoring in psychology. I always wanted to be a therapist. And I just, along the way, like that just didn't work out. And then I had a family and, was raising my kids. And but it was always kind of in me, that I hadn't finished my degree, and that really bothered me because that was a goal of mine that I just was like, I am going to so regret this in my life if I don't. And I hemmed and hawed about it for so long, and when's the right time? And then, the kids, my sons were in high school, and I finally decided to go back. And I went to Mount St. Mary's, downtown LA campus, and enrolled in their weekend college program, which is great for adults. And so it enables you to work full time and go to school. It's very grueling because you go every other weekend for both days, all day. So that basically took me 5 years. And I graduated with a bachelor's in applied psychology. Then I immediately applied for grad school at Mount St. Mary's as well, in the marriage and family therapy program. So I just graduated last May with my master's in marriage and family therapy. And I've been working as a counselor at a clinic in Westchester for my internship. And I just acquired my associate number. So now I'm an associate marriage and family therapist. So now I can go out and get paid and do it, because I was doing it for free for 2 years.
That's great.
So yeah, so that's just been like a super long, hard journey, working full time, going to school full time like that. But it feels really good to have accomplished that. And I hope to, at some point I have to get my face out of the sun. And so I can't be teaching PE forever. And who wants a, wrinkly old PE teacher? So I'm, looking forward to the future a little bit, to give myself something to do, and in a way to still hopefully inspire and help people who really need it, because that's what I really enjoy. I enjoy seeing people improve upon themselves, or, just get healthier, or whatever it is they need. So that's what I'm doing now. So,
well, those of us who have worked with you, and former students and families who have known you, I don't think any of us are surprised that this is where the journey has taken you, because you are just so fantastic with kids, and especially kids who are in trouble or are facing challenges. I know there are countless children who have come to you over the years with that, because they knew in you that they would always find a compassionate ear and someone who's willing to listen. So we're all so proud of you. Congratulations of the great accomplishments that you've done, and the way it's just the beginning, isn't it?
Yeah, it kind of is. I don't know. Teaching's hard for me to leave, though. I've been at Martyrs for 21 years, which is crazy to even think. And so that's 36 years teaching in the Archdiocese, and I can't even fathom that it's been that long. So I have a hard time with that, because, those professions are quite different. I'm mainly helping adults right now in therapy. And, I am going to look for something with kids possibly, because, I just love that. I'm the youngest of 9. Kids are what I do. Like, I'm comfortable with it. I like the ones that most people are kind of like, oh God, that kid. I like those kids. So it's going to be hard eventually. I don't know that I'm leaving yet, but, it's going to be hard eventually to sort of really wholly change over to that, because I have so much joy in, being active and stuff with the kids.
What would you say to kids today who, as we're all enduring the stay at home and time of isolation, we all approach it differently, but I think for the adolescent and for the child, it's particularly challenging taking them out of their social space. What's a good lesson that you could give to them today, or it's former students that you had who are experiencing anxiety at this time?
Yeah, well, that's such a great question, because, we're all facing this and approaching it differently, like you say. And I think, like with kids and adolescents, it's really important for parents to be observant and to be aware, because kids and adolescents, even teens, they don't express things like adults eventually learn to express their emotions or whatnot. So it may be lurking in different ways, whether they're, spending too much time in the room, or irritable, or, poor hygiene, or things like that. Like, you have to look for what they're trying to tell you sometimes, and just be keen on that. But to say to kids, that I think a big difference today in this world is kind of resiliency. And, I fear that because we love children so much, and sometimes parents or adults tend to not allow them to feel disappointed, they don't know how to deal with things. And so I really would say it to them. I have a phrase that I love, and it's a quote, and it's, you are not a product of your circumstances, but you're a product of your decisions. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of my favorites, because whatever you're in, you have the power and the choice to get out of. And it may not be immediate, but you have to make those little choices along the way. And if it's right now, yes, we're disappointed because we can't see our friends and we can't graduate and we can't, but you always have to look, for how you can be creative and positive and what can you make out of it. And, get out of your pajamas, people. You got to get out of your pajamas. You got to get up, do your day like normal, make a routine, make sure you exercise because that helps with your mental health. Pray, meditate, because that also helps. And, just try to find the fun if you can.
Very well said. Very well said. Well, Jodi, you have just been a blessing to hundreds of St. Margaret Mary School families over the years. We miss you a lot, but we remember you fondly for all those years you gave in service to the school and to parish families. What's one last final message you want to give to your St. Margaret Mary family?
Oh my gosh, I just have so many great memories of St. Margaret Mary. Thank you for me being a part of that family for so long and really still continue. There are students that I have one that lives down the street from me. I just caught up with another student. There's one who lives in Texas who was one of my little sweethearts who we still keep in touch today. And there's so many more of you out there that I think about and have the best memories of. And it was really a special part of my life.
Well, thank
you.
Go Spartans. Go Spartans.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jodi, for the time together. Please say hello to your husband, Eric, and to your great sons, Jay and Ian. Tell them that we say hello.
Thank you.
And we'll catch up soon. It's really been a pleasure to have you with us and to help us endure this time of isolation by bringing back a familiar and smiling face. Thank you very much, Jodi.
Thanks, guys. It's so good to see both of you.
Thank you. Matt Johnson, back to you.
Good to see you, Jodi. I think we'll name this episode The Traitor. What do you think of the title of that episode?
In a nice way, right?
Right. Anyways, Jodi, it was so great to have you. It was so much fun doing this. If you guys are enjoying this series, please click on the subscribe button so you can get notified when a new episode is up. And we look forward to seeing you at our next episode, which is coming soon. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, guys.